Donkey Kong Country, what the hell? Wait, just gotta blow off my cartridge. There we go. Donkey Kong Country, the hit game for the SNES that features everyone's favorite, Diddy Kong. Yeah, that's right, fuck you, DK. We'll be looking at the hit game created by Rare. Surprisingly, I don't see a lot of people talk about this entry in the series. The third game is the weird child of the family, the one that the parents just gave up on, but somehow they turned out alright. DKC 2 is the golden child, the middle child that everyone seems to love. And then there's the first child, the OG DKC. He was dropped on the head a few times. I mean, with the first game in the series, you can only go up with the sequels. One of the issues with the sequels is that DK is not even playable. Maybe like a New Game Plus type of deal where you get to play as DK. It doesn't even matter. You don't even play as Donkey Kong in the first game, technically. Yeah, DK is not the original Donkey Kong from the first arcade game. You might be wondering if Donkey Kong Jr. is modern DK. That would make sense. Nope. He is actually the father of modern DK, and Cranky Kong is the original arcade DK. Yeah, pretty convoluted for a game about getting back your bananas from a bunch of reptiles. Speaking of story, we should probably get into the meat and bananas of the game. You are greeted with the first stage, and if you want the plot, here it is. Yeah, pretty on par for a Nintendo story.
Donkey Kong will remain a lovable ape, Link will never lose hope, and of course Mario will never start shooting hookers.
Most first stages in Nintendo platforms I can remember distinctly, but not really with DKC, at least not the original. Super Mario World, I can remember exactly what the first stage looks like. Okay, maybe not. But the more the game goes on, the more memorable the stages become. Maybe because the game is hard. Really hard. Yeah. DKC will kick your ass with the precise platforming. We'll see that later on once the stages start to amp up. The first world is just an introduction to the game, showing off a variety of enemies that you might encounter. You also get introduced to Diddy Kong, the sidekick to DK. He has different attributes when compared to DK. He feels faster, his cartwheel is more agile, but he can't defeat the bigger enemies. That's when DK steps in, as he can defeat the bigger enemies, as well as being able to do this hand slap thing. I prefer DK, as he can defeat all of the enemies, but the agility of Diddy helps in some situations as well. Other than meeting Diddy in the first stage, you get to meet your first animal buddy, Rambi. Not gonna lie, the animal buddies are not too great in this game. As we go through, I'll make a little tier list for him. Rambi is pretty average, but he helps to defeat enemies easily. Basically just a Yoshi, but instead of eating enemies, he can hit them with his horn. I give him a solid A tier. In the first world, we are also introduced to Enguarde. Enguarde? Enguarde! He's basically Rambi but underwater. He can help you swim faster as well. Another A-tier animal. Speaking of water levels, they are surprisingly smooth to traverse, for the most part. The first water level is more of an introductory level, so nothing too hard, just getting used to the swimming controls. The last level before the boss is where the game shows its true colors. It is the first barrel level, making the player shoot out of a bunch of barrels that have really precise timings. Some enemies are involved as well. This stage is a warning for what is to come, but after beating that, we are introduced to our first boss fight. What? It's just a larger version of a regular enemy? Spoiler alert, only one boss is unique, and it's just a metal barrel that shoots out enemies. The second world picks up the pace with a minecart level, more precise platforming, but this time with a moving minecart. This is an auto-scroller, but rather than the screen just magically moving you, you ride around in a minecart. We are also introduced to Winky, the frog. He just gives us a bigger jump, but sometimes he isn't able to hit enemies. And every so often when you try to jump, sometimes he is mid-animation, meaning your jump input will not come out. A B tier from my boy. We are also introduced to Nightmare Fuel in this world. What the hell is that? The music doesn't help either. Not much else for this world. I mean, just another boss. of a regular enemy. Vine Valley. Just another jungle world. The locations in this game aren't all too unique. Like a jungle, or a jungle on the side of a mountain, or rocks on the side of a mountain, or polluted rocks on the side of a mountain. At least the stages are unique enough for this to be not that big of an issue. I would say this is the most forgettable world, as it just feels like more of the first world, but harder. I will say the Ewok barrel level is really cool. The little houses and the trees are a nice touch, along with the music. Orangutan Gang is also pretty with the sunset in the back, and it also introduces Monkey Kong, the long-lost relatives of DK who are for some reason trying to kill him. Oh, and yeah, we also have Espresso. He sucks. He can't jump on enemies, and the camera doesn't even go high enough when you're flying with him. F tier. And spoiler alert, he will be our only F tier. You know, I'll admit it, the only difficult boss besides the final boss is the B one. The timings can get a little hectic, plus you have to use barrels instead of jumping on the B to damage it, but still, pretty lame. Finally, an ice world, with some rocks on the side of a mountain. This world will kick your ass. The first stage is a barrel level that really amps up the timings. Fast moving enemies and 360 barrels don't help. This is where the camera starts to get a little fucky-wucky, however. Platforms that are below or above you tend to be hidden by the camera, and even some enemies jump out of nowhere. The ice physics don't help either. You also have to get through 5 stages to save. The only other notable stage is the ice cave level. It looks really pretty, and the ropes that move you up or down is a really cool mechanic. Quite a challenging stage as well. I just wish there were more stages like this. After all that, Candy Kong is the one to help you save. I'm not gonna say anything. Funky Kong is the cool dude.
Whoa, it's lit in here, huh?
He lets you fly around to other worlds. After beating yet another lame-ass boss, we're getting near the end of our adventure. But wait, I totally forgot about another animal buddy. Squawks. He's just a bird with a flashlight. Yeah, C tier. We got rocks with pollution on the side of a mountain. It seems as though King K. Rool put a whole ass factory up on DK's mountain. The game gets real hard here. All the enemies are here for the last 2 worlds, including the new ones. I gotta say, I like the variety in enemies. You got the Kremlings, King K. Rool's Goonies. You got his right-hand men, Russia and Clump. We also got the basic enemies, the critters and the claptraps. I also like how they have variations on these guys. There are jumping critters and claptraps, invincible crushes. We also got some other types of animals, like naughties, neckies, armies, and zingers. A pretty cool cast of enemies, except for the water enemies. They are pretty lame and forgettable. You can't forget about the best of them all, though. Tires. With spikes. The 2 most notable stages in Pollution World are the minecart one and the one that turns off the lights every so often, the latter being more intriguing. The minecart level has you switching between platforming normally and using the minecart to progress. The dark stage one was really cool, and I wish more of the game was like this. The last 6 or so stages are really unique. They all have some sort of gimmick that makes them stick out. After that, we got the barrel boss. Again, pretty lame, but at least the boss is more unique than the rest. It just shits out enemies and tries to stomp on you. Chimp Caverns is the last world, and it only has 5 stages, but these 5 stages will rock your socks off. The first stage is already fun. You need to keep the platform going by collecting these fuel tanks, but the enemies are not going to let you get them so easily. Pretty tense and challenging. It is also the only stage of its kind, unfortunately. I really like this stage, and I wish there were more like it. The next 2 stages are pretty tame, just some classic platforming, nothing too unique. Loopy Lights is cool, having to turn on the lights to traverse the stage with these barrels. Again, a pretty cool idea, and we are even introduced to the jumping claptraps that are only here for 1 stage. Again, I just wish the stage gimmick and the jumping claptraps were used more throughout the game, because it is really cool. The last stage will kick your ass. The timed platforms will only take you so far in a certain direction, and the enemies make it that much harder. The invincible crushes don't help, as you can only defeat them with a barrel. A great stage to end off the game before the last boss. Well, we still gotta beat this fuck. Just another necky boss, but this time with purple lipstick.
Actually, it's coral blue number.
We get to the actual boss, King K motherfucking Rule. The boss fight is pretty okay. Yeah, once you get the timing down of the last boss, it's pretty simple. He only has like 3 attacks. The crown, the ball, the jump. The credits fake out is still charming though. I'm not gonna act surprised by it. I've beaten the game before. The music amps up the fight, having this epic rock theme. I will say it is a pretty cool boss fight, and if this is your first time fighting him, it can be a bit challenging to get the timings down. I will say it would have been cool to have a few levels on the ship leading up to the final boss. After finally defeating King K Rule, we are greeted with the actual end credits. I like how they introduce all the enemies and characters at the end of the game. It's a cool touch. And now check out the first level after beating the game. Pretty cool, huh? Well, that just about sums up DKC. I'm not gonna lie, this game is pretty short. On a first playthrough, it might take around 2 hours, but veterans of the game can beat it in around 1 hour 30-ish. I just wish they had more of the end levels spread out throughout the worlds. They were really unique. They went all out for the last few levels. It just felt like the first 3 worlds were kinda there. Yeah, they were hard levels, but they didn't stand out from one another. The animal buddies are pretty cool, but I think they found their footing in DKC too. Overall, I think this game is a great introduction to the DKC series. Not bad for a first in the series. With that, I give Donkey Kong Country a B+.
Congratulations!
Yo, what's up guys? Thank you so much for the support on the recent videos and also the shorts. Those have been kind of popping off a little bit, so thank you so much for that. I was on vacation for about a week or so I didn't have time to really edit, but I am back, so hopefully I will have a schedule of uploading a video every 2 weeks. Of course, I'll be uploading the shorts every week, so look out for that. Thanks guys.